All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a wonderful episode of Beyond the Board. I am your host, DeVaughn Croxton, and joining me today, I have a very special guest, Laurel Aronian, who is a chess player, chess enthusiast, and soon to be student at Harvard University. How are you doing, Laurel? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, yeah, here at Beyond the Board, we talk about not just chess, but the impacts of chess, right? And how it affects our communities and the way we interact with each other. And we want to highlight different aspects of how chess and US chess as an organization inspires and helps other people around the country. So, we're going to jump right into our interview here with Laurel. Once again, thank you for joining us. And so, Laurel, I had the pleasure of meeting you sometime last year and as I was joining US Chess, and I just completely saw your levels of enthusiasm and the passion and love that you have for chess. And so, for our audience, I think a very good question to start off with is when did you first learn to play chess and who taught you?
Thank you. I started playing chess right before I'd say kindergarten from my family. My dad taught me originally, and I started taking, it was kind of a casual thing, but I started taking local lessons with my brother because we had these family friends who would play sports with us and stuff. So we took some chess lessons from them. And after that, in my kindergarten, I joined the little club there, and we actually play competitively. So my first ever tournament was actually an all girls event, and it was really cool, yeah. And I was really happy to start off that way. So I got more into it there. I took some lessons through my school, kindergarten, elementary, and my coach was actually. Do you know Jonathan Corblau? He's kind of a chess personality and game
Yeah, yeah.
show personality. Yeah, so he was my coach there. So it was a really great way to get started and super exciting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like I said before, I just kind of felt your passion and energy for chess. And so I thought something that would be interesting to ask as well is when it comes to chess, what about chess has been so interesting to you compared to other sports and hobbies? Because I'm sure you had plenty of things to kind of choose from. And what kind of made chess stick for you?
One of the things I always think is the chess community and the people I've met in chess, but also just the feeling of the chess world. I feel like the people that I've met in the game are always so fascinating, and they have these other really cool pursuits. For instance, my chess advisor at my school is simultaneously, he's a chemistry and math teacher and an amazing speller and grammar guy. So things like that. I know a quantitative sports trader who also does chess, Ella Papanak, if you know her. And I also met like chess players who are in the Air Force, the Army, just really cool things like that. And I feel like another thing is that a lot of chess players I've met too, I've been in a lot of different communities, music and stuff like that. And I feel like in chess, a lot of the people, kind of what you see is what you get. They're really genuine. And I just find it really nice to be around that. And of course, like I said, the chess atmosphere, I've always found the, I guess I was doing tournaments since I was young, and I've kind of been conditioned at this point to be used to being in that community. So for me, it's just really comforting to be at events, the feeling of people setting up before their games and running around tournament, kind of just the culture of it overall. It's something that I really love about it.
Of course, of course. And I can speak to that too as a player myself. And there's nothing quite like a chess tournament. And it's just so interesting. Like you get a lot of chaos, but then you also get like the silence and the diligence, right? Once the games are started, and it goes from chaotic, and then it's just like you can hear a pin drop, right? And I think it's just really fascinating, and you get all these different people from different walks of life too. And so I definitely agree with you in what you were saying about that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah, and so like I mentioned, I met you last year, and it was just incredible to hear more about your story and meet your mom and your brother and things of that nature. And what was very fascinating to me was that you spoke about starting your own chess club at your school. And I thought that you showed tremendous leadership through that process, right? And so, could you speak more about what it was like growing chess in your community or at your school, and kind of how that got started, right, for our audience?
sure. So that kind of began when I came to my school, the current school I'm at in middle school, And I came as a sixth grader, and there was no middle school chess club. And I was really into chess at the time, and so was my brother, who'd be coming soon. And there were some other students there too. So I just thought, hey, we kind of need this to happen. We need to make a club. So that's kind of how it started. There was just a need for it. And over time, we kind of advocate. COVID hit, and before COVID, we hadn't been able to merge with the high school club, which is something I really wanted to do because they compete. There were these older students, and we all thought they were super cool. We wanted to play chess with them. And when COVID happened, our schedules changed, so we could actually do chess with them. So we began to, over COVID, I advocated to join the clubs. They came together, we played together, and that was kind of where things blew up a little bit, I think, because a lot of us there was just this huge exchange of like, they were mentors for us, and we were playing games with them every week, and I was trying to promote it and get energy. And that was actually, I think, what I ended up being elected president after from my ninth grade year, because I think it was just all the promo and I was like really excited about it. So I think that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, since then, we've just tried to do everything we can to build excitement in the school and try and get people amped up for everything and try and do new events, always trying to outdo ourselves. So we do announcements to the whole school about chess and kind of try and make it this really kind of like a sports team, something that people would cheer for. And it kind of became a little pet sport in the school. So it was just this kind of culture shift within the school a little bit. And we tried to just do as many chess events as we could. We'd assign players to be USCF competitors. We went to a midnight blitz tournament. We traveled to national events like Nats. And our annual chess championship, which we had every year, we actually got that to 52 people one year. In the past it had been 12 or something like that. So it was like we got 20% of the high school to do it. So that was really it was all about building and just not being complacent and trying to make it more than it was. So yeah, it was just a really fun kind of project, and I was so passionate about it because I loved the chess. So
Awesome. That is so incredible. And I think what was so fascinating about that too is that you approached chess, like you said, as if it was like a sport, right? And you kind of just became the mascot. And we get into these debates, right? Like people are like, "Oh, is chess really a sport or is it just a game?" Right? And I think you really embraced the fact that, and I agree with this too, that chess is indeed a sport, right? It's very mentally taxing. It does take a lot of preparation. There's high level competition, and so
totally.
you being that form of like a mascot was incredible. And I think that's what really helped get people engaged. And so I was like some video of your like pep rallies and things like that, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
No, I remember you came to one of our online tournaments. It was so fun having you there. Thank you for coming. But it was
Yes, yes, that was great. I was so happy to be a part of
US
that.
chess US chess member here. But I totally agree with that. And I think that, I mean, you even burn calories when playing chess. So it's absolutely not just mentally taxing, but a physically taxing event. And that was something that I always was trying to do to advocate for, to get it kind of recognized by the school. Like something, I mean, if not something like a sport, something like debate that would be supported by the administration. And we got chess shirts. We did these cross-cultural events. We tried to do what we could do to kind of branch out and make it as sport-like as possible.
Of course, absolutely. And so, something else I wanted to bring up was that you were giving me the timeline, right, of how you joined the school, and then eventually your brother was joining, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, your brother, if the audience is not familiar, is also a avid chess player as well, right? And so, do you ever have any sibling rivalries? Do you guys study together? Like, what's that experience like?
Well, when we were younger, we had some of those, little sibling rivalries. We played against each other, and what do you expect? I mean, we would we were always a little bit competitive, but I think it's really been more of us trying to honestly help each other because we've ended up kind of becoming chess study partners, sparring partners, and even though we've had to play against each other, like we played against each other in our school chess championship and in rated events a number of times.
Oh
We've
wow.
also done mixed doubles together, and we actually won the New York State Championship mixed doubles a few years back. So it's kind of like, though there's this kind, we can play against each other, we also try and help each other out, especially what comes in handy is if one of us has played an opponent before, the other one will try and be like, hey, so this guy, he plays like this, you need to know this. Well, we definitely are. Yeah, we help each other study for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome because it's like easy to get into that. isolated, right? Like I'm gonna practice here because I want to really
Yeah,
beat
yeah,
you. And then,
yeah,
but I love that you guys kind of use that as like an iron sharpening iron type of experience. So that's incredible.
yeah. And I mean, it also kind of works out because I like to write about chess and he likes to make videos and media about it. So we kind of had those two different sides of the kind of linking together the chess with the other beyond the board thing. And
Yes.
totally. I mean, I know, like we were speaking about your younger brother and
Mhm.
his chess. So it's definitely when there's a family, the chess kind of catches on, I guess.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, thank you for that, and that kind of segues right into my next question too. And I feel like your family, um, I mean, since the moment I joined US Chess, has been so supportive of US Chess and like the different initiatives and things that we have going on, right? And so, for our audience, we have what's called the Girls Club Room. So at all of our national events, we have a special room designed just for all girl players to come and just have a safe haven, right? Because like chess has been very male dominated over the years. And so we want this space to be a place that's very encouraging and builds a lot of community, right? And I think that's something that your family has been super, super supportive of. And could you just kind of speak to what aspects of these different initiatives kind of held so closely to you guys and allowed you guys to keep supporting over the years?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just primarily it was always something a place where I felt welcomed and my family saw that, and I think that's been such a big part of what's made us, I guess. So it's been so much of what's made it amazing for us. I mean, it was somewhere at my very first big tournament. This is actually a shirt from it. It was 2018. I think. I can't see it on the shirt, but that's
Yeah, I
okay.
see
I
the
think it was
national shirt.
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's 2018. I went there and I went to it was one of my first big tournaments, and I went down to the girls' room, and Carolina was there, and Sabina, and Elshin, and so many of these giant chess figures. They were just there and they welcomed me and they went over my games with me and signed autographs for me. And there were snacks and swag and it was like other girls I could meet. And it was just felt like such a community that I had at that event. I wasn't coming with a school team at the time. So it was like a little group where I had a group that I could connect with. And I think that's something, I mean, we might talk about this later on, but I think it's something that's really critical to keeping girls in the game, just having that sort of space. And I also, another thing that was really great about it, like I said, meeting people and just how outgoing the girls were at the room. I actually met this girl at the event in 2023 and she came up to me and introduced herself, and I feel like in a lot of times in life I'm going up to people and introducing myself to them, and it was just so nice. In the girls club I always feel like people are coming up to me and just wanting to meet me and get to know me, and we've been in touch texting since then. I'm going to see her again at Super Nats, so it's just these connections that
Wow.
are made, and I haven't seen her in between that whole period of time, but we've just stayed in touch, so things like that. And I think that in general, I'm really happy to have the opportunity to be able to. I was for a little while. I've been the girls club team ambassador, trying to get other girls to come to the club, and it's been a great opportunity because I'm able to meet these girls. I have a reason to, so I go out to the club and I can invite them to have this space that has given me so much. So I just introduce them to. I tell them at tournaments, come to this club. We have all these things going on, and if anyone's listening to this who will be at Super Knots, please come to the girls club room. It's amazing, and Mr. Croxton is the incredible program coordinator for that. So it's
Yes.
just, I mean, you've done so much, and I guess it's so, I'm so thankful to you. And also Kimberly D. McVeigh, Maureen Grimond, both, wow, there was this couple, I'm trying to remember their,
Mhm.
before
The
that,
Walton family.
Jennifer Shahadi, of
Mhm.
course, and also Krista
Yes.
and her husband, both, just all these people there have been so welcoming and helpful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And yeah, you mentioned being an ambassador, and that's something that we're definitely promoting as well. Is the sense that like the older group of girls who have been with us, and even the younger group who've just been there consistently, being ambassadors, right? It's like you can advocate for the girls' club room. You feel like you get a positive experience every time you go, and then you start to bring friends, and then it becomes a great experience for them as well. And you mentioned this before when we first met, was that like. Um, you can meet a girl in the girls club room or at super nationals or at a regular national, should I say, and you're like looking forward to seeing them at the next event, right? And so it's like now you have like a friend that's like across the country, which is crazy to think about. um, but in the chess world, it's like chess is a big world and a small world at the same time, right? Like,
Mhm.
you live in California, I live in New York, or something like that, as an example. But when May, April, spring comes around, I'm gonna see you at this big event.
Exactly. That was totally what happened with this girl I met at the last event. And there's so many other people who I met who are across the country, and that's just something great about it. But I think just for everyone out there, there's so much that the Girls Club is doing. They have these huge events. Even when we were online, I believe there was we got to speak with the director of the Queen's Gambit and
Yes.
Gary Kasparov. We got to play a game against Judah Polgar and Judah Polgar versus the World. I think that's what it was called. And the opportunities are only getting honestly bigger. And now, like director Renee Bartlett's been coming to the meetings, and I know this year it's super nuts, so it's going to be off the hook and absolutely crazy.
Yes.
And there's also so many. It really set up. I think it also really sets up leadership, like the opportunity to be the team ambassador led me to end up being the U.S. Chess Scholar Player Ambassador. I think that was directly tied in and set me up for that kind of position. So I think that it all goes in hand, and I am so grateful for everything from
Wonderful. And we're definitely going to touch on that too, because I thought that was so fascinating how it's like the evolution, right? You're just passionate about chess, and then you support and you volunteer, and then it, creates all these other opportunities. And, getting that award was amazing as well. And so that just kind of further amplifies going into my next question, how
Mhm.
you are such a leader and you're so involved in so many different things, and you still compete in chess competitively. And I think that a lot of female players your age start to drop off from chess. And I was wondering if you could kind of speak to maybe why that's the case, and maybe some things that could kind of encourage them to stay involved in chess and the benefits of staying in chess, right? Because I believe that your experiences have been amplified through your chess community, and I'll let you
Absolutely.
speak more about that. But just to kind of show, like, you can do both, or you can do it all, should I say?
Totally. I think a big part is that there's, well, these are kind of two different indicators. First off, when there's not a lot of girls in chess, girls feel less inclined to play chess, I think. And because oftentimes that community is important, and other sports, other things sometimes have a higher ratio of girls to boys in the game. And I think that this just highlights how important groups like Girls Club are, but also the importance of starting playing chess young, because when people start playing chess young, they're introduced to the sport, and if they stay in it, they will continue to join clubs and continue to do things related to chess. They will it's about consistency. And I think that from being in groups where there are consistently girls and continuing to be in these groups or these clubs or these library get togethers, things like that, it just keeps someone tied to the game. And I think that in general, yeah, I guess to summarize that, consistency is key, and having spaces where other girls are is key. So for parents who have young girls who play chess, I think it's really important to try and find them a group where there are other girls, and to try and find them multiple different communities that they can join, where they can meet new people in the game, always try new things in the game. So not just join your school chess club, but maybe one in your town, because these keep it exciting. It doesn't feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this because there aren't any girls in it. It really keeps people involved. And I think also that, or you could create it. That's another thing. I mean, if it's not there, make it yourself, and that's huge. And join summer programs, things like that. Even I think that it's also sometimes things that made. I was once considering stopping playing chess when I was younger, on account of, I didn't realize it, but I was super bored with the opening I was playing, and I always wound up in the same position. So sometimes like changing your opening or changing your coach can be huge. Or trying a new variant of chess, there's so much you can do online. And I think that there's just so much more to be gleaned by sticking with it than quitting, because you've come so far already. And oftentimes it's just like a little thing that you have to change, and you'll be like, whoa, I see this in a whole new way. So that's really what I'd say about that.
That's incredible, and thank you for sharing that so much. For sure, because I think that is part of it, right? Like making sure that chess never becomes stale, and that you do
Mhm.
have that sense of community, right? And I think what's so something that we do at US Chess, which is so important, and I think people are starting to like really notice it, is that in the girls' club room, we specifically have very talented, strong, titled female players come and be special guests, right? And so we try to highlight either local talent based on the state that we're in, or just very prominent figures like you've mentioned, Carolina. We've had Irina Crush, Sabina Foiser, different popular names as well, right? And I think it's just so important to have um, that figure right there in your face, right? Someone you can look up to and they share their story. And you're like, wow, like one day I could play and be as good as them, or I could stay involved in chess. Or you just see that the fact that they're older, but they're still involved in chess. Like it's part of their career, it's part of their lifestyle, right?
Totally, totally. And there's so many different sides to that too. I mean, on one hand, I feel like a lot of girls receive the message that you can't be that good at chess. And seeing these people who are succeeding in chess, for me, it was always really inspirational to see someone like Judith Polgar who managed to get to the top 10. Because I feel like oftentimes what you hear, it has a huge, can have an influence on what you become. So and what you see. So when you see these really talented, extremely, I guess the word, not just talented, but skilled, I'm trying to think of the word, but
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, no,
advanced
you're right.
female players, it really serves as something, like you said, I can do that. At the same point, I feel like seeing women in chess who aren't just chess players, but also doing other things, highlights that it's not just about becoming the highest player, but that's another thing that I've loved about Girls Club. Like Carolina Blanco, she's simultaneously pursuing her passion in dentistry, and just those two things together, it really highlights how there's so many paths you can go down, and you don't have to just become a grandmaster. You can also become, I mean, she's obviously continued down both paths to an extreme event, and she's so talented in both. But the point is, like, you don't have to drop chess and do or drop everything and just do chess. You can still be so successful, and just all of the inspiring guests. I mean, Jennifer Yu, Alice Lee, Carissa Yip, everyone. It was incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what something that's so important too. We try to highlight like not only their chess accomplishments but their life accomplishments. Like for example, we also had Rochelle Ballantyne join us, and she's
Yeah,
simultaneously
yeah.
a competitive player and a lawyer, like a very well
Exactly,
accomplished
exactly.
lawyer. Yeah, like went to Stanford, and it's like, oh man, like this is incredible, right? And then getting different players at different age ranges as well speaks
Mhm.
volumes to the players as well, because they feel like they can relate and see what's really going on in their
Okay.
lives. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so I think that kind of transitions us into my next question, which is, um, how do you feel like your experience through chess has helped you transition, um, going into college and even going into careers and things beyond that, right? Because once again, congrats, but you're going to Harvard University, which is amazing, right?
Thank you.
And on top of that, you're also like you've won awards through chess, like we kind of spoke on that a little bit earlier. And so just, feel free to just share how that experience has helped you.
I think one of the really unique things about chess and girls club specifically leans, well, to premise that connections has been one of the huge things, just being able to see people and or meet people who will be in the places I'll be later in my life. I think Girls Club has done an incredible job of leaning into this, like we were slightly discussing before, but I think that I've met so many people in Girls Club who have done similar things to what I'm hoping to do. And it's just been and gone places where I'm hoping to go or going. And it's being able to see that, getting to know them has been incredible. And I think one of the really unique things about chess is that in no other sports can, not no other sports, but in a lot of sports like soccer or football or tennis, you play people who are, if you're a scholastic player, you play scholastic players. Like you're not going to be a scholastic tennis player unless you're extremely good playing a college tennis player. But in chess, there's so many events that are open events where you can play people who are outside of your scholastic age range, and you can get to know people from all walks of life, like you were saying. And I think that's one of the really, really great things about chess, because you get exposure to so many different people, and you get to learn. I've met so many people in different colleges in the chess world just going to events, and that was huge. It was like college tours being in the chess world. And at the same time, I also think that in addition, one of the benefits of going forward, I'm going to hopefully have the opportunity to travel and play chess, and that will just. I know that a lot of really strong chess players are already doing that, and it just you can see the world, you can see new opportunities that arise from the game, and I think that that's one of the many ways that it'll definitely help me as I transition into my career, and also companies come and recruit off chess teams in college, which is huge. Additionally, I mean, just to speak about these are benefits of chess that are often spoke about, but they've been so important for me in my life, like stamina through playing games. Like I've played 5-hour games of chess, which was huge when I was doing APs and standardized testing. So I'd say that these are like specific benefits that people have from playing chess as a sport. And I think that and this really filters into someone like college and career. And likewise, even if it's chess is a way to make money, chess is a way to meet people, and chess is a way to learn to manage your time, to especially because you literally got clocks and you need to do decision making. Chess is a way to learn how to win, how to lose, and balance the two. There's just so many benefits. So yeah, absolutely, it's going to.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And you brought up a good point for any colleges listening or anyone associated with different colleges. Come support our events. Come join us. I think we have some of the best talent, academically to offer. Right, a lot of chess players are multi-talented and involved in a lot of different things. Very well-rounded individuals, right? And I feel like if I was representing a college, this would be a great pool of young talent to try to recruit. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So yeah, so Super Nationals is around the corner, May 9th through the 11th. Super Nationals, not just any nationals, right?
Super.
Happens only every 4 years. I know you're excited. Tell me more about how you feel about Super Nationals and how would you describe it to new players who will be attending?
So I'm so excited, and this is actually because I've never been to Super Nationals before. The one 4 years ago was canceled due to COVID, so I didn't go to the one that was 8 years ago. So this is a new experience for me, and I'm just like everyone else. But I think that for anyone who's new, I feel like there's going to be a lot of new players who've never been to a nationals, and it's just like everything I've seen in other tournaments, but I'm sure it'll be more. It's just life and energy at these events. There's people of all ages running around, getting ready for their games, kids hanging out, having fun, eating takeout from some restaurant in some random place they can find because there's nowhere to sit. There's so much energy and people studying and grinding to prepare for their opponents beforehand. And it's going to be like that, but this year even bigger. I mean, in past years, there's been crazy things for the nationals events. There's been simul's, blitz, family friends events. There's been Girls Club, of course, come there. There's been chess influencers, grandmasters. But I mean, this year it's going to be even bigger. I know there's some puzzle thing that's going on.
Yes.
So it's just going to be like nationals, but even more souped up. So I'm just super excited for it. And apparently the biggest slide in the world. So that's super cool.
Nice. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so that's been part of the hype as well, like you said, because the previous Super Nationals being canceled, unfortunately, due to COVID, right? And so I think a lot of people have been kind of waiting for that opportunity to get back to a Super Nationals and what that
Yeah.
experience is like.
The
And
energy's been building.
yeah, and it's incredible. It's crazy, right? Because if you're this is an opportunity where a talented third grader can play a 10th grader. It's like that normally doesn't happen because most of the other nationals are like based on your age range, right? Based on your grade. But this is opportunity where if you're talented, you get to face other talented players of different experience levels, right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
that's especially for the higher players, they can play people who are challenged themselves. If you're a really, like you said, a really talented third grader, maybe you might not win your section, but you'll get to play the most. Well, you'll still get an award for being the most talented third grader, but
Yeah.
you also get to learn from extremely skilled opponents. And it's all the special things with chess rolled into one weekend. It's gonna be crazy. I can't wait.
And we're in Orlando, Florida. It's gonna be beautiful weather too. So it's like, is it really a tournament or is it like a glorified vacation? I don't know. It's gonna be great.
Totally. I mean, it's near Disney too, so you
Yeah.
could go over there as well. I mean, all the parks and stuff. Yeah, it'll be
Yes.
great. Cannot wait.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we briefly touched on the impacts of COVID, right? And so one positive thing that did come out of COVID was the Queen's Gambit,
Mhm.
right? And I feel like that show was incredible, and it really had a large uptick, not just in chess players, but specifically like a lot of female chess players, right? And so, from your lens, did you watch the show? And if you did, what did you think of Beth Harmon, the main character?
So I saw the first probably 5 episodes. I was pretty young when it came out, and when her mom died, it was the middle of winter, and I was super. I was sad, and I was like, I can't watch this right now.
Yeah, I know it's very right. It's a lot of
I,
drama, right?
I
On top
really
of the
enjoyed it.
chess
I
world.
actually have to get back on and finish watching it because it was a really good show. But what I do remember is I was just always impressed by how Beth Harmon was kind of had these. There was this negative feedback from all sides that she was kind of receiving from a lot of the players who thought that she wouldn't be able to make it as a female player in the chess world. And what impressed me was just her ability to just have blinders to that and just kind of not take it in, block it out, and be aware that she knew what she could be and she knew her potential. And she was always just, what she seemed to represent was the ability to just be aware of what she could do. And I guess the term would be ignore the haters and just go ahead and do it and show people what she could do. I mean, they see her success, and that is the greatest inspiration. So for me, yeah, she had this amazing resilience and grit, I thought, and that was really inspiring to me. And it's something that I'm always trying to model, just the ability to go forth and do what I do and not listen to any people who are downers for no reason. That's going to be unhelpful.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I admire her character as well. I thought it was really interesting. The show is so accurate too on a lot of like the historical chess games, right?
Mhm.
Like they really embody what chess was like during that time, but also allowed her to just be like a unique person who can be determined, right? I don't care what people think or feel about me.
Totally.
I'm going to lock in on my goals, right? And I think that was very
Yep,
inspirational.
absolutely. Yeah. Did you
And
see, you saw the whole show, right? Like,
yeah.
when it came out, yeah, 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 yeah. I guess I have to get on that.
Yeah, and so you touched on it very briefly in the beginning, but you spoke about being a writer for chess, right? And
Mhm.
you've actually had an article published in Chess Life magazine, which is our official publication related to the United States Chess Federation. And could you speak more about what it's like being a writer, how that opportunity came about, things like that?
Sure. So I guess I got into writing for chess. A lot of when I came into it, I started by blogging on chess.com, like I'm sure many people do. And then I started kind of writing for different publications around the chess world. It was kind of just about offering myself up and saying, hey, do you need this? I'd love to do this. I'll be at this event. And Girls Club really made a lot of that possible. I wrote one of my first articles for them online, and after going to one of their events in New York City. So that was kind of a big part of what gave way to my time involved with these publications. But with that article in particular, I wrote it about my experience over the summer serving as a New York delegate at the US Chess Delegates meeting. And it's about that experience, but also about how Scholastic, and kind of about what it was like to be there as someone who had never been there, what it was, the energy, what happened, all the motions that were passed, but also about the idea that Scholastic players, from my takeaways at the event, should pursue this, and that I wanted to share in the article overall. It was longer, but some of it had to be cut to fit the magazine. But I had a lot to say about how Scholastic players should absolutely look into serving as a delegate, because first off, it was a weekend that I got to spend in the adult, almost corporate world, which is something that you really don't get to try. And it's something that's so amazing about US Chess that they open this up to Scholastic players, because how many places do you get to be a part of the decision making for an organization in which you are participating? I mean, it was amazing to see what decisions are made behind the scenes that influence every part of chess tournaments. So I spoke to so many, when I was at the event, I also spoke to other delegates who were there, and I interviewed so many people. Again, I don't know, a lot of them aren't in it, but I learned so much about all these different things that make people want to be a delegate, all these different elements that go into making the chess world what it is. So, I mean, it was just an amazing opportunity, and I cannot recommend it more highly. And it goes back to the idea of doing things in chess that are beyond a rating, because I really felt like this is a way to, I love chess, I love the chess world. I'm so curious about why is it that, for instance, I don't know, I think about some interesting rule. Um, why is it that we have this number of rounds in this event? Why is the event held in this city? And you learn things like that. So, and you get to make decisions on things like that.
And thank you so much for sharing that. And that's definitely something I love about our delegates meeting as well. And just the culture that we're trying to cultivate as well within the chess community is that we're all in this together and everyone's perspective is so valuable. It would be we would be doing a disservice to host an amazing event and then not get the feedback or the voices of the people participating and supporting the event, right? And so I really love that you stepped up and shared your perspectives and decided to be a voice on behalf of the scholastic community. And we need more and more voices such as yours in order to make all of our experiences better, right, across the board, whether it's
Absolutely.
increasing the number of tournaments or changing locations or the rules. All of that is so important based on your feedback.
Thank you for that opportunity. And I feel like one of the important things is that, one of the things I really learned at the event is that a lot of people who serve have been chess players who serve as delegates. So it's like one of the great things about US chess is that the people behind the scenes know what it is like to actually be a chess player so they can make decisions about the chess world that really are beneficial to chess players. Even yourself, Mr.
Yes.
Croxton, and I that's why I would really encourage Scholastic players to take part. But there's so much, in addition, all the people who serve as delegates, one thing I also took away was just how, I guess, selflessly they want to serve the chess community because how much they care for it. And they do it for no pay. They just do it for their passion and their care about this community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I have one final question for you for our interview segment. And
Yeah.
we've just went over so many different dimensions and aspects of Laurel Aronian, right? We've gotten to know you as a chess player, a sibling, a soon-to-be college student, a writer, an aspiring talent within the company. I'm not company, but the corporate world, should I say, right? And so, what advice would you give or inspiration would you give to other talented chess players or just young scholastic people in academia as far as juggling all of these different things in life and staying involved in chess or just any other goals that they might have?
Mhm. I think one of the really important things I've learned is just the importance of consistency. So whether that's playing chess or writing or doing music or really anything, as long as you keep a little bit, if you do a little bit each week, each day, whenever you can fit it in, if you just don't let it slide, you will be able to balance these things. But that's one thing to say. The other thing is the importance of prioritization. So if you have like an event coming up that is a chess event, yeah, put your energy into that, or at least most of your energy. So these are two things. And I think just being cognizant of needing to balance them and understanding that they're both important, it's kind of a balancing act. And that's what I've always kept in mind, like prioritize, but be consistent. And keeping those two things in mind, I think, have made it possible to do different things. But I just want to say, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It's different for each person. But.
Of course, perfect, perfect. And I'll add on to that too the importance of self care and reflection, right? Like
Totally.
we grind, we study, we work real hard to accomplish a certain goal, or like you said, participate in an event. But just as important as it is to work hard, it is to find some times for relaxation, right? Or indulge in those hobbies and things that just make you happy. So I really love your perspective and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, like we're still humans, we're not chess machines yet. So
Exactly. Right. Right.
we embrace our, I guess, humanity and our, the point of life is not to just, well, for me, I don't, like I do things to achieve goals, but also to live my life. So absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you once again, Laurel, for being a part of our podcast. So we're concluding our interview segment, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. And so here at Beyond the Board, it would not be a chess podcast if we don't involve chess, right? That
Yeah.
would just be kind of crazy. And so we're going to transition into our second half of our podcast segment where we go over a special game, right, with our guests. and we're gonna kind of talk about the different aspects of a chess game, the chess position that has been
Mhm.
selected, and just kind of talk more about that and analyze it. All
Sounds
right.
awesome.
So let
Thank
me go
you.
ahead and switch over to lead chess. Okay.
I'm there with you right now.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, feel free to tell me, just give a little background story about why you selected this game.
Sure.
Because I'm sure you have plenty of games to choose from, but you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go with this one. So, what was that
Yeah.
feeling like?
So this game, I played it at the US Open a few years back, it was after doing the herring, and it was my longest tournament ever. I had to be there for like 10 days. So this game started at 7 p.m. and it went until midnight. It was just crazy. So it was definitely, and the ironic part was it ended in, well, maybe, I don't know, should I spoil how it ends?
No, no,
Whatever.
no, don't spoil, don't spoil,
I
don't
won't spoil
spoil.
how it ends. So, but there's some irony there. In any case, I also this game I chose because partially because of that it was just kind of memorable in that way, but also I a puzzle from the end of it was included in Jennifer Shahadi's puzzle book, one of her puzzle books. So I thought, hey, why not? This could be interesting and just a fun one to go over.
Of course, of course. Thanks. And right before we jump in, just to give context to our audience, chess is indeed a sport, right? We start games at 7 p.m. and our brain is constantly going until midnight, like she said. So you can have those 5 or 6 hour games, especially at these large events.
The funny thing is the time goes by so quick when you're in it. I sometimes it takes a long time, but sometimes it feels like, wow, this is you're so locked in that it just you don't feel the 5 hours going by. And that chess book was actually Play Like a Champion. I remember the name. So
Oh, nice.
if you want to check out some of her puzzles in there, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, feel free to take us through the game.
Sure. Okay, so I was playing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you play white or black, actually?
Oh yeah, I play white here.
Okay,
So
perfect. I want to make
yeah,
sure we're on the right side. Okay.
so I was playing white in this game, and I started off playing Vienna. This was one of those openings I kind of changed to. I mean, I kept playing E4, but I was so tired of Italian. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do it. So,
We all
I mean,
go through that, right? We're like,
I
okay,
think we
I've
all
played this
do.
opening 1,000 times. I want to do something
Everyone's taught
different.
Italian, and they're like, "What is this symmetrical thing? I can't get out of it. I have nightmares about it." Anyway, this is my very slight divergence from Italian. So the first part starts off very much as book. So this is just kind of all a line that's memorized. And then this is kind of a line that I don't play a ton anymore, but it's technically the best move in the position, I think, and it gets really complex. Do you know this whole thing that happens here? This is
Yeah,
not
yeah. Like, definitely could get into some trap lines, right? Or like, yeah, it could get very
it's a
tactical real
huge trap
quick.
line. It's a huge trap line. So if they do a specific pattern of moves, there's this really it kind of goes spirals off into this big trap line where you end up sacrificing stuff to get checkmate. It's really crazy. For this game to not go that way, he played a different line to kind of get out of that. This is the move that gets out of
Yeah,
that line. If you played knight to f6, what would have happened instead is that whole line would have ensued, or at least part of it.
yeah,
So yeah, let me. Oh, sorry, he's under the arrow.
yep.
Okay,
You're good.
yeah, that happened there. And with that, let me see. So he played this move. The next line, again, this is just mostly book. I played queen to f3, and he played knight there. So this is just kind of all development. This is still just book.
Mhm.
So far, this is all still memorized.
Mhm.
But this move, I made a move that was a little bit iffy. I played pawn there. It's not bad. It's just not the most accurate line.
Mhm.
So at this point, it was a little bit going a little bit away from what would have been ideal. The right move here is actually, I think, queen to h4, just to keep the pressure on this knight. I think
Yeah,
to kind
I
of
was kind of
continue.
thinking about that too. Like those dark squares look really, really suspect, right? And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some opportunities to maybe prevent castles or just kind of stop the natural progression for black, right?
Totally. That's the one of the ideas of this line when the queen goes back here and said after g6, just to really keep the pressure on those dark squares, to mess with that pin if you can make it as much as you can. So yeah, it was kind of a missed opportunity, but wow. It's like Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
So
no, you're good. Yeah.
I thought I was going to get the bishop out of here. Again, not ideal, but it was just, I was really just thinking this bishop's hanging out here for no reason. I just want to get rid of it. And bishop went back, and I played bishop there. So it was a little bit premature, but I was trying to just, again, try and take advantage of these dark squares. Let's see. So knight right there.
Okay, so the tempo on the queen. Yep.
Exactly. And just queen here. So nothing really extremely eventful going on at this point, but at this point we were both off of memorization and just trying to annoy each other and take advantage.
And what I like, so yeah, just like at this moment right here, what I like is that you have used this variation of the opening right to get a positional advantage. And I think a lot of younger players go into it like, I need a tactical advantage, or I need to be up a pawn or something, right? But you got a lot of positive things going for you. You got really smooth development, and you're controlling all the dark squares. And it's kind of awkward. Like, does the king want a castle king side? Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're kind of like slowing down that progression, and then they have a knight on the edge. Is really nice for you, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of liked about this opening. It's very asymmetric. It can become asymmetrical, which is nice because it affords both sides these advantages and disadvantages positionally. And that's nice because if you can really focus on, you can choose an element and say, I want to focus on developing, taking advantage or kind of leaning into this positional weakness they have, and just spend a lot of the game doing that. I mean, one of the things that I love doing is making backward pawns and then just putting a ton of pressure on that. So it's a nice opening for that kind of thing. Anyway,
Yes.
trading off. And yeah, just more of this sort of thing. And they ended up castling queenside. So, I mean, the king side would not have been the best idea here. But it's good because this opening delays castling a good amount.
Got it.
Yeah, I at this point, this move was just, I don't know why I really did it. The reason why was because I thought that the knight was, I might have wanted to move this knight, and I was like, I don't really want the knight getting here. And I just want to get it away.
Of course.
That's no point, though, because honestly, this knight was doing nothing. It was in a really kind of, I mean,
Yeah, I feel like you always have a good grip on D4 and F4.
yeah, so it was a little bit of a wasted move, honestly. But went like that, and I just castled queen side as well. So I liked this because I had this nice open rook. I also liked generally that my knights were kind of had these open squares here, or at least this knight. This knight's not doing great, but I thought I had some sorts of plans here. Things kind of, I made a kind of dubious move a few moves later, though. I just went knight here, and I was thinking, it's a tempo, maybe I can just be annoying, try and take this pawn, something like that. It ended up being really useless. I mean, after that point.
King just steps over.
I don't know what I was thinking with that. But in any case, yeah, this actually did kind of set up, I mean, is it okay to turn the analysis? Is that fine? Or do you
Yeah, that's fine. So you can use the analysis. The viewers, they only see the chessboard.
Oh, okay, that's fine then. Yeah, so at this point, and feel free to add anything. I mean, I'm honestly just going through, at this point, yeah, I threw away a lot of my advantage with a lot of these meaningless moves that I was doing. If I go back, at this point it was equal, and slowly I kind of was giving him more opportunities with moves like this, and just, so the little moves are important. It's definitely something that I've been realizing as I've been playing more, like the little moves that could be better, don't have a huge point. They kind of, even if they're not blunders or real mistakes, they add up.
Exactly.
And this move was just pretty bad. I mean, it was just a waste. So, but fortunately, I mean, this wasn't awful, being able to push the pawn here. I could put some pressure and create a little bit of a pin type thing or an x-ray. So yeah, there was just a lot of kind of pressure building up here. Right here. And I just took this. I think overall there wasn't much else. Okay. So what was nice is this kind of, it did give them this backward pawn. on this square, and it gave me this nice outpost for my knight.
Yes.
Those are just things that I had the opportunity to do at this point. And there were kind of these little open squares around the king, which were kind of nice, I thought. Besides that, I'm just looking around. I mean, my pawns weren't great. It honestly, in this position, yeah, black still has, we can see like this very, very slight advantage, but nothing.
Yeah,
huge.
black still has to do some work for sure. And the D file, especially if you get C takes D at any point, is something that they're always going to have to babysit. And you talked about like the backwards pawns, right? And so you're really hitting the base of that potential pawn chain right there on D6.
Yeah, that was one of the, that kind of played out nicely. So I was happy about having that, even though I hadn't really done much to get it there. I felt like not like, I felt as though I had done some questionable moves before, but I was glad that it wound up like this. So I did take that square because it was a nice place for my knight, just taking up a lot of the space in black's domain and making them feel a little bit, I guess, boxed in, or not boxed in, but a little bit like I was intruding.
Yeah, that's a really good outpost. There's a lot of pressure there for the knight to jump for some forks. Yeah.
So then black was like, I'm going to do the same. But the thing is that, I mean, it's not really an outpost because there's my pawn here and stuff. The thing is, I didn't take the pawn on the next, the knight on the next move, which was the recommended move, and I let the knight get here instead.
Yeah.
Not great. But one thing that I was worried about, and I just wanted to hear your take on it, I thought that if I took here, I mean, he was just going to take me back. I would feel like that's sort of annoying. I mean, I was looking at what would be the best thing here. That was my main concern, though, because I didn't want the knight to kind of get cemented there and me to have no way to get it out.
Yeah, I think for me, so I'm looking at I like when I get stuck in these positions, right? To take or not to take, right? I think about the quality of the piece I'm taking versus the quality of the one that I'm taking with, if that makes sense. So your knight on E2 doesn't seem to have a lot of potential
Yeah.
compared to like, oh, maybe I could remove one of these knights that's on this strong outpost. And I always envision, and I've had nightmares about this too. You let the one knight survive, and then the other knight comes in, and now both knights are strong, and then and then they can. It's a lot of other like fork and tactical position potential, should I say? But I feel like if you remove one of the knights right now, dealing with that one knight is a little bit more manageable.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And honestly, it's still doing everything it would be doing otherwise because my knight's not trading with it. So it's not like my knight being there is saving me. So yeah, definitely trade this bad knight for their good knight. So that would have been the right move there. But instead, I did the, oh wow. Sorry. Instead, I kicked it out with this pawn. Not the best. I think it made things a little bit weak and was unnecessary. And the knight got there, which honestly was annoying because at this point black started really coming into these squares here and just really putting on pressure, and that ultimately caused a lot of problems later on. So I went here to try and just get him out, and I just went back. So really, was there a point to any of that? No, but I think that black at least was wasted. We wasted a bunch of moves, but I think that I had the opportunity to trade this off, like you said, and I didn't. And now it's even worse because this square is blocked, this square is blocked, this is blocked. It's just like
I was kind of highlighting a couple of circles there, like
yeah, like this knight is useless, and I should have traded off when I had the opportunity. And then I did this move, and I was looking back at why I did this. I played this game a little while back, like I said, and I'm honestly, looking back at it, I'm not too sure why I played it.
I've been in those moments too. You're like, okay, I'm reviewing my game. I made this move. What was going through my head when I decided to do that?
Exactly. I mean, maybe what was concerning me was just all these knights being around, and I was worried about this square being attacked just because like looked like prime opportunity for like a giant fork.
Of course.
It was just a really there was no need for me to worry about that because none of the knights had any ability to do anything with that. And honestly, that would just be the wrong way to stop it anyway. I'm just basically making my rook dead and giving it no purpose here. Now it's basically a pawn. So definitely were better moves than that.
And I'm curious about what the engine says at that moment because instead of rook f1, I was thinking just f3.
F3, yeah, let's see. It's not a huge fan, but
No,
I don't.
because I'm just envisioning like the queen not babysitting the pawn in the
Oh,
center, right?
yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it
Or preventing them from playing f3
the engine
themselves.
on, can you see the engine on your end or no?
Um, oops, yep. Let me enable it. Um, okay, yes, I have it. Yeah, they don't like f3. Okay,
I
yeah,
see. It makes sense to me. There's some reason I must have not been playing it. I guess I'd been worried that if I did that, I'd have to babysit
yeah.
this pawn for the rest of the game and just, especially because this knight. But it makes sense. I mean, it's supporting this, and I like it. I don't know. It said after that knight c5.
Yep, and then this kind of and see it's interesting. This kind of goes back into yeah, because f3 you're gonna lose that pawn because of knight c5, and so this
Yeah.
kind of goes back to what you said before, like the one micro decision right leads to like bigger
Well,
problems.
maybe just to trade off those knights at the beginning, or
Yeah,
what you would have gotten rid of so many of these issues that
yeah,
are
like
at.
one knight goes away and it's a little less potential here, but now both of them are gonna start jumping.
Absolutely, yeah. So what it did like here, I guess, was from this move after I'm gonna undo some of these arrows just to clean it up a little. It liked b4. I think the idea of that is to block the knight from going to c5.
Of course.
And yeah, that which makes
Yeah,
sense.
and
It's
yeah,
a not too fancy move, but it accomplishes a simple thing, which we need to accomplish. So
hmm
yeah, and even without my pawn pushed, these knights were just coming in and really causing problems for me. So yeah, I just went all the way back. I think I did because I had gone here. Let me see. Yeah, I just went all the way back here.
hmm
At this point, things were looking really bad because my pawn on e4 was just hanging,
hmm
and
yeah, like now we're playing defense basically.
exactly. So these two knights were just really causing me a ton of problems. So at this point, the engine's recommending that I not do that, but actually just go like this. I think
hmm
it's interesting. I'm not too sure why. I mean, I think maybe to support the knight that's there, but
Yeah, I think it wants you to kind of like solve your problems one step at a time, right? So it's like, okay, we're down a pawn, but let's move the pawn off of c3 because we would rather our bad knight be there, and then use the bad knight to kick out the knight on e4. Maybe
that's
that's kind of
probably
like the progression I'm envisioning.
yeah. And I actually just looked back. This game is from 2022. I found the specific year, so
Mhm.
let me see. So yeah, I think it was that would make sense. I think I did. I decided to play b4 just because I wanted to shoot, get it out of the way, and I thought, okay, let's just get one of these knights cleared out. Of course, not really as great as I thought it was in theory because then we get the queen in. So
Yeah,
well,
I thought queen b5 because I briefly went over the game. I was like, I
yeah,
thought queen b5 was a good catch there.
totally.
Because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, you're doing good, and I was like, ah, queen b5, they keep the tempo.
Yeah. And this guy was like 1800 or something, so he knew what he was doing. He was
hmm
definitely taking opportunities when he saw them. And I was just, at this point, really wanting to get rid of these knights. So I was just thinking, I'm just going to take it. I mean, I'm down material a little bit, but these knights are causing me so many problems that I'm just going to trade off. So I
Gotcha.
did that. He took here. And I mean, it was a little bit less scary because there weren't so many things bothering me. But of course, this is going to happen. If this happens, the rook comes in, and there's also this open file here,
Oh
and
yeah.
ultimately ended up using both those open files, so it wasn't looking too good.
You know what's so interesting too that this looks a lot different if we went queen c2 instead of queen b1.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's just the idea of keeping the queen in the game
Yeah.
as much as possible. There's probably a reason I didn't do c2. I probably thought that there was something that would hurt, like something that would get me if I went there, or something would
hmm
happen. I probably was calculating something and I might have miscalculated it. So I thought it was dangerous, but I mean, if I had taken a second longer on that, I might have seen that queen b1 was, or queen c2 actually worked. But yeah, absolutely. It just shows that keeping the big pieces to defend against the other big pieces is definitely good to do, and not hiding your queen away.
Gotcha.
So at this point, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I moved rook here. I'm trying to think why. I think I just wanted to be able to move one of my rooks up, maybe. Or let me see.
Oh, preventing queen d2 checkmate.
That could make. Let me see.
Yeah, because if the rook wasn't there, I think queen d2 would have ended it.
I'm just looking for a second. Oh, you mean this queen? Or
Oh, no. So if you go back one move,
sure.
yeah, I think you went rook here to prevent this from happening.
Oh, sorry, D2. I was hearing B2, and I was like, no.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, queen d2 checkmate. Yeah.
That's definitely why I did that. But it makes sense why queen here is better. I think there's probably some reason I chose not to do it, but ultimately, I also might have wanted to, for some reason or another, I chose to do rook here. They can't do the fork or anything, so it was like not really a concern that this pawn would be taken either way. So I was like, it should be fine enough considering everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And then they did this, and it's interesting because it's such a small move, but they totally opened up a lot of opportunities for me by doing that.
Yeah.
Because they take the queen out from the second rank, and that just took off a ton of the pressure and kind of the mating threats, and it let me pause for it. I guess what it really did is, it released the pressure and gave me a second to think and maybe reorient and try and do some sort of counter attack of sorts. And let me see. They still can't. Wait a second. They, like I said, they didn't end up taking. If they had taken this fork here, what would have happened is I would have pushed this pawn, and that would have just been creating these mating threats. They would have had to block with their queen, and that's actually what ended up happening anyway by them moving queen here, because I could still push this pawn, and it was super weird because when this is what I ended up playing on the next move, and interestingly, it works surprisingly well, even though it's such a small, seemingly non-forcing move to deal with all the problems here. And I think it's the only move in the position that works, because if they push this, they get forked. If they take here, I take here.
Take the knight. Yep.
Yeah. And if they take here, mate.
Get mated.
And it's like very honestly, it worked out well in this position. You can't play rook here or rook here. It's a defend.
And just checking, did we reach the puzzle moment yet?
This is the puzzle moment. So
okay, got you. Okay, I was like, this feels like a good puzzle moment.
Yeah, because it was one of those times when it was like, wow, it worked because it was a completely losing position in one move that gets rid of that makes it a not losing position. So yeah, that was the puzzle moment.
C6, good move.
Let me undo some of these arrows here. Okay, yeah, it was definitely I guess a saving grace move, but I was fortunate they missed this and moved their queen back, because if not, I would have been destroyed. So I did this, and they ultimately had to take, because if they don't take, they're getting checkmated or getting a rook lost.
Yep.
Exchange, and this is still not great because I'm down. How many pawns? I mean, 2, I think, at least. And
yeah, I think you got 2 pawns for the piece. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have just kind of my king sides, or my queen side is a mess, and there's all these open files that can come in and just cause problems for me. And additionally, I mean, they can still put pressure here once this knight's, if they get the knight out of the way. I don't see how they'd actually do that, but I still was not 100. This was still very iffy. And
yeah, you're like, I feel good. but I still have to be cautious.
I was like, wow, I'm up a knight, but this is not really up a knight. I'm really just up a point, and the position is not great. So, yeah, they were trying to do whatever. At this point, he was trying to just, I think, here attack my pawn, but still put pressure on this. And overall, like these three pawns were very strong, and or at least these two would be passed pawns if not for this one. So it was just well thought out to, I guess, try and get rid of this as soon as they could. I was definitely not going to let that happen.
Why not rook d2?
Rook e2,
Rook d2.
e2.
I thought that rook kind of would be better suited covering a lot of things on the second rank, and then maybe
Okay,
double up.
yeah, and it totally could defend this file as well. And yeah, it definitely would have been better at this point.
Got you. Okay, so queen e2. Okay.
Yep,
there's the rook.
Exactly. She saw coming. Oh, I guess also I might have been worried that if I played rook here, I couldn't play rook here.
I see. You want to challenge the G
I want to be able to challenge the G files. That's probably why I didn't do it. But
I think you defend laterally instead of directly, if that makes sense. I think we give them the G file because they don't get much as long as we control the second rank.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's no point in the G file if this whole file is very much. Yeah. Is that a rule that you normally stick by, like defending laterally rather than? I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
It depends. I think it's based on like what they're getting for the file. Like this file is on the opposite side of where my king is, so it's like okay, I could give them that space, and prioritize like kind of like walling off on the side of my king. Because you go rook d2, you bring the other rook on the d file, so now both rooks are doubled up, and then there's no pressure. I mean, they can't go pawn hunting for f2. They might try to go after h3, but in the meantime, we counterattack on the b file or something like that.
That's true. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, the file itself isn't causing any problems, just what it's threatening, which would be defended by.
And it almost might do a little bit more harm than good because I think it might distract us from our own potential attacks. So like you challenge on the G file, but then they attack from somewhere else.
The nice thing about this is it also sets up like if I could get rook here eventually.
Yeah,
that could be really nice, especially since like knight's here, queen could be.
Queen is looking at the a6 pawn. Yep.
So yeah, that could be like really nice if I had done that. As you can see, I don't use chess a lot.
No, you're good. Actually, I got you on the arrows.
That'd be great.
Yep, I got you on all the arrows. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I played queen up at this point. So maybe I wasn't planning on going rook there, or maybe I figured out a problem with rook there. That's probably what happened. So I was like, I'm going to go queen here, just try and stop this. Push here makes sense.
Yeah, e4 is a good find. Yeah,
because
they'll happily give that pawn to get to the second rank.
Though the engine still doesn't like it. It actually preferred not pushing there. And
yeah, it's weird. It's one of those human moves, if that makes sense. Like if you think about the situation where we're both tired, it's a late night game. Okay.
No, and we were both totally out of time at this point as well.
Yeah.
So that too. It definitely was a human move, and we definitely were both rushing at this point in the game. So some inaccurate stuff, and I guess it was like I do this, I can get here. Simple logic.
Yeah.
Figured it out. So that was the plan, and I took this pawn, which is not necessarily the pawn to take.
Yeah, I'm wondering if either one is so dangerous, but you can't let them stay there either.
Exactly. Like, I knew that taking either one would be very risky, especially since it just opens up all of these files for the rooks to come in and just come down here again, which would be prevented if I had a rook here. But I think one of the things from this game is just the idea of little things compounding, because that was one of the big takeaways. But yeah, so I took this pawn, probably some logic. I had some reason behind it. I think, let me see a second. Though the logic might have not been sound considering it was such quick logic. Oh, the idea was just that if I take this pawn, I thought this was going away. So it's like,
Yeah. I think it just gets dangerous either way. But
Absolutely. So
yeah, yeah. So I don't blame you for taking either one.
here,
Hmm.
that's a move that they didn't do, but I guess they can take rook here if they want it.
Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just looking at it. It's going to take here. Yeah. And they get this rook here. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's just
They
something.
probably want to just keep the queens on because their best chances is with the queen active.
Yeah. And it ended up being that was the case. So yeah, this was not. They got this check in, and I thought, oh no, what have I done? I this is not going to end well. And at this point, I'm still winning in this position technically, according to the engine, but with everything going on psychologically, I was just so worried about. It didn't feel like I was winning psychologically. You know what I mean? Positionally.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. You know, like, am I really holding this position together? You're starting to get some
Exactly. Or
fatigue.
is this already gone? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I went queen here. Just trying to do whatever I could really to hold on to this pawn, hold on to this pawn.
hmm
Was really just trying to hold on to one thing at a time.
hmm
Second sense, everything was compounding. Oh wait, does it not happen? Sorry about that. That would be a good move, but instead they went here, which is also, I mean, I like it. I don't think the computer likes it, but
hmm
I mean, is there anything that you see about this move versus this one comparatively?
Well, I think the rook g2 always keeps the opportunities for double rooks on the second rank, which is always good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because if you go from rook g8 to f8, you're doubling on that file, but
yeah.
there's always the potential of like the rooks basically just bumping into each other. Like,
It's true. It's another thing with the computer move. It's just weird because the computer likes rook to go here instead
okay,
of sorry. Yeah, but I think it's another time where it's just computer is seeing things that are
yeah,
computer. Yeah, so in any case, g2, queen here,
hmm
and that was kind of. I'm just trying to trade because I felt at this point I was like I was saying psychologically I felt like I was being very close to a lot of mate threats and I just wanted to get the queens off the board just to I was up a piece and I was thinking or a point or a piece or two pawns and I was just thinking like let's just get this out of the way. I'm gonna lose this
yeah,
pawn, but which actually this would not have been great if queen took here and I just took back. At this point it's
yeah. That's kind of rough because you're gonna lose more pawns after that. Yeah,
and it's still here and it's just not great. So I think a lot of it was inaccuracies due to time, but also just the stress of being in this kind of position.
hmm
I went queen here. It's, again, I was just trying to do whatever I could to trade off. But this was a big mistake because
yeah, and then they get the perpetual. Yeah, yeah,
so I guess I brought in this game. I thought it was interesting. It's definitely not a super well played game, but it definitely taught me a lot. And
hmm
I'm gonna be wary of perpetuals because I it was something I totally hadn't accounted for. I was thinking so worried about checkmate that I forgot about the draw. And it's not like it honestly at this point it probably would have been good to draw. We were both so low on time and it was so late that
you're like, all right, let's just get out of here. It's both
yeah,
a mess for
I
both of
wanted
us.
to I mean of course I was like wanting to win. It would have been huge for I mean after playing for that was kind of the irony like we played for 5 hours just to draw.
hmm
And it would have been really huge for I would have been very happy to get a draw against him because he was higher rated than me or a win against him. But I mean, considering how I played and everything, the draw was not the worst at all. So
I think
yeah,
what's such an interesting takeaway from games from this game and games that are like this is that the psychological pressures, right? But also like trying to not beat yourself. Like you're winning, but then you kind of have to like have confidence in the position and just understand like how to translate your advantage into the win. And I think the difference maker is if we give up one more pawn and then kind of just solidify everything else. I think we'll be okay.
totally. And I guess also the idea of just tightening up little moves along the way because,
Yeah.
like we were saying, they compound and can just cause like do away with an advantage so quickly. So I feel like it's one thing to get the advantage, but another thing to hold on to it. So that's definitely was a big takeaway from this game that I moved forward with after analyzing it. And I think also just definitely was a game that illustrated to both of us how beneficial it can be to just have a little bit more time than your opponent.
Of
Even
course.
just at this point, we both had about the same amount of time, as in probably like 10 minutes or something. But we were both completely, if one of us had had an extra even 10 minutes or 5 minutes, it could be big just to not make these super rash moves and quickly. I mean, it's so easy to blunder under that kind of pressure.
Of course. And then they always say like the clock can feel like an extra piece sometimes. It's an extra factor on the game every
Yeah,
time.
totally.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Laurel. Thank you once again for joining us as our special guest today. Very happy to have you. This was a very cool experience, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Um, Thank you for sharing the game. It was great to get more insight and learn more about you. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and super excited to see you at Super Nationals as well.
I'm so excited. No, thank you so much for having me here. It was so fun and an honor to be with you as always. And I'm so grateful to you and also US Chess and everything you're doing as program director to just highlight and elevate Girls Club and really just make spaces of belonging for all people in chess. It means a ton. And I want to say, just at the end of this thing, really quickly, I'm done with Scholastic Chess, but I'm not done with chess. I'm going to 100% stay connected to US Chess and the chess world and US Chess women. And if anyone wants to reach out or anything, please feel free. And I'm so grateful to the organization and everything they've done, and to you for thank you for having me here, and it's just always being so kind.
Of course. Perfect. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for listening. This has been another wonderful episode of Beyond the Board. I'm your host, DeVaughn Croxton, and we have our wonderful special guest, Laurel Aronian. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yep, see you at Supernats. Thank you.